it's often said on the spiritual journey, the last thing that you have to face full on is fear. Because in most people, or maybe even all human beings, that's the one that's the deepest and the most hardwired into our animal bodies, into our systems. And the fear, the anxiety, the fright, the panic, it's part of the survival mechanism that keeps the body alive, that keeps the animal alive. And it's, because we're in a body and we have this animal heritage as much as the human heritage. It's not just us who want to survive, and who are programmed to survive. It's all animals. But what we do know is that animals experience fear. And fear is a survival response. Fear says there's a danger and I have to avoid the danger to my life. I have to do whatever it is I need to do to survive. Because the danger is death. The danger is I may be eaten. I may be killed. I may be, I may fall over the cliff and then I'll be dead. Whatever it is, it's like this mechanism, this fright mechanism, this anxiety thing. It alerts the animal to a danger. And in the same way, it alerts us to a danger. Now, in all animals, what happens is, unless there's learned helplessness, unless there's like repeated situations where animals are threatened, which they usually only are in captivity. What happens with animals, there's like danger to their lives. They react as well as they can, and either they get killed or they die or they don't. And if they don't, what happens is that the animal, the moment they feel they're out of that danger, they their system, their bodies discharge that fearful, anxious, panicky energy that got aroused in their bodies. And then, they continue on their ways. They might shake it off or shake it out, or, it's like when animals fight. Again, when the fight is over, they will do this, and just get that energy out, and then it's gone. The problem with us human animals is that we have a mind that remembers and that repeats and that holds on. And so, because it does that, it can keep the anxiety going forever. It can keep thinking of what might happen. And so, this fear response, this anxiety keeps getting aroused, and it never gets discharged. so we live with fear in a way that animals don't. And we try to control things in a way that animals don't. Because the equivalent of fear is trying to control, right? So if only we can figure out a way that to make sure that whatever it is we are afraid of is not going to happen, then we'll be okay. So, the fear turns into an attempt to control and figure out what we have to do to control that this is not going to happen. But then, of course, life experiences that others won't be controlled. Life won't be controlled. Even our own emotions can't be controlled. Our thoughts can't be controlled. Actually, nothing in life can be controlled. It's an illusion. But we keep that going anyway. And by keeping it going, it's like we keep generating fear because, every time we try to control things and it doesn't work, more anxiety arises. And then we think harder about how we can control it. And so we set ourselves up to keep failing. And the more we fail to control, the more we are afraid and anxious and try to control even more. And it's like it's a vicious circle, and it's a never-ending trap that we get caught in. No animal gets caught in that kind of trap, but we do. We do because our minds have taken over our lives. And so we've lost this ability, that most animals have, which is to kind of just let life be as it is. They're not trying to control it. They just go along with what happens. They do their best, but they don't try to control in the way that we do. So, you could say the fall from paradise is our endless ability to keep our minds busy with trying to control life when it won't be controlled. I have such compassion with us human beings because we make life so terribly hard on ourselves, And one of the ways that we can catch us in that vicious circle, in that vicious cycle of fear and control, or anxiety and control, is to realize when the mind comes in there and tries to control. Tries to figure out what to do. Because truth is, we can do what we can do, and the rest is not up to us. The rest is up to life. So it's like, there can be one cycle of thought that looks at a situation and says, okay, what is it that I want to try and get out of this? What is it that I can do? And so you figure that one out, you do it, and then that's the end of the cycle. End of story. The rest is not up to you. But instead, what happens is it's an endless cycle, right? There's no end to it. There's a constant kind of trying to figure it out, feeling anxious because maybe we got it wrong and maybe we didn't do the right thing and maybe we, and then there's more thinking because then we have to try and figure it out how to do it right. And then, of course, there's more anxiety because, then the doubt sets in and maybe we didn't get it right. And so we have to think again. It's like, do you see how that becomes like an endless cycling? When what's needed is a willingness to accept that we don't have control. We can do what we can do to the best of our knowledge. And the rest is not up to us. The rest is up to other people. The rest is up to life. The rest is up to, the elements. It's not up to us. And it's very scary, because us being the beings with the, all this frontal cortex that's hyper kind of evolved in us, we just keep wanting to think about things and figure things out. So when you feel that anxiety, whether it's light or whether it's totally taking over your body, and you let the temptation to think go, to think more, then really there's just the felt sensation of the system, the nervous system being activated, which we describe as anxiety or fear or worry. Let's kind of start with the end that's not so intense. So you're left with that, and that sensation, that's created in the body, which is really an agitation. That can be received as such, as a kind of agitation in the body that arose because of something or other, could be a thought, could be an experience. And that really just wants to calm back down, you know. It doesn't want to kind of keep being activated, because it doesn't, it doesn't lead you anywhere, it doesn't feel good. And really, what happens is that when you're not aware of this endless cycle of thinking, you go to your mind, you try to figure it out. And maybe, when you feel you figured it out, you feel a bit calmer. You do what you think you can do to control things. And then you've calmed down. So, next time you get worried or anxious, you think again and you try to control again. And, and so there's a kind of calming that comes from thinking, but it's only ever temporary, and it doesn't solve the problem, because you're trying to control something that's out of your control. So the better strategy for calming fear, for calming anxiety, is something that only mammals actually have the capacity of doing, which is that because we're social, mammals are very social, right? So they actually calm each other. Mothers calm children. If children come running and they're all kind of, afraid of something, a good mother won't argue with the child about, she'll just take the child in her arms and hold him or her. And in that physical contact, the child's activation can be released through the calming and calm energy that it's in contact with in the mother. Like when there's been a fight among chimpanzees, and everybody's kind of worked up, they'll often huddle together after, and it's a way of really kind of saying, okay, everything's all right, reassuring, calming down together. And mothers will hold their children, and and it's like this way that we have of calming ourselves that's very much about presence, about one calm body allowing another body that's not calm to come down, to calm down. So, in the same way that bodies can do that, through presence, through physical contact, that can be done through presence. The bodies don't actually have to touch. If there's an energy that's calm, that meets an energy that's anxious and agitated, and the two meet, the two are kind of in the same space, then the anxious energy can calm down without there being a need for an actual physical contact. So, the mother, or let's say the friend, who is calm, who listens to a friend who's anxious about something. That doesn't have to be physical contact for the anxiety to calm down. It's just the very presence of calm that allows the anxious energy to kind of go. So the thing is, we can do that with ourselves if we know how to access calm, even though we're agitated. And actually, sometimes animals can be that calm presence for agitated humans. I just want to mention that. The cat that will roll up on your lap, or the dog that will come and sit next to you and snuggle up to you, It's the same calming influence. But ultimately and lastly, we can be that presence to ourselves. How can we do that? Well, by opening to a space that's larger than the agitated body. And that can be the space of the heart, or it can be the space of being. Whatever feels more accessible to you. For some, the vastness of being is more accessible than the space of the heart. But ultimately, they're really both the same, and they're both unlimited, and they're both silent and welcoming. And the beauty of our human existence is that we're both that space, and we're also that agitated animal. We're both. And so the question is, and that's something that everybody has to find for themselves. It's a very individual thing. The question is, when you're feeling the agitation of fear, of anxiety, of worry, what's your opening window to spaciousness? Not as an escape from the worry, but as the remembering of a presence and a spaciousness that's larger than the anxiety, and that can welcome the anxiety just as a mother will welcome her child in her arms and say, no, it's okay. You're okay. You know, for sometimes, and you can try all of these strategies. Sometimes a question like, who is feeling this? Or where is love? Where is peace? Where is silence? Can be like an opening into that, you know, an opening that's not constricted as the anxiety is. Sometimes it can be prayer, you know, just asking for help. And you don't have to know who you're asking. And there can be a sense that there's invisible help, even though you don't even know what it is. You don't have to know. And sometimes, you know, help can come in very precise ways, like, you know, it can be a saint or some invisible spirit, past master that somehow you feel a connection to, spiritual teacher. Can be the Buddha, can be Jesus, can be Mary. You know, endless possibilities, because there are many unseen, non-embodied beings that are available to us on this planet. Could be just connecting with your own heart. If for you the spaciousness is more a heart spaciousness, could just be by putting your hands on your heart and having a sense of a place, an energy in your being that's not anxious. It's not afraid. And in this meeting, usually what happens is that the anxiety really calms down, you know, if it's a real meeting. And then there's no longer this compulsion to think more about it, you know, then you can let it go. That compulsion that's so strong when you're still kind of inhabited by the agitation.